Okay, today I'm going to do one problem from each objective on this extra practice worksheet to kind of help you out if you get stuck. On the first one, where we're just looking at and describing sequences and then writing a brief explanation, I'm going to go ahead and do letter B. So letter B goes 1, II, 3, IV, 5. So what it's doing is it's alternating between a number and the Roman numeral. So after 5, the Roman numeral for 6 is VI, and then we'd put the actual number 7, and then the Roman numeral for 8 is VIII. So my brief explanation could be alternating between numbers and Roman numerals while counting. Our second concept dealt with finding a rule for an arithmetic sequence. So if we look at this, it says use AN equals A1 plus N minus 1 times D. Again, A1 is our first term, and D is our common difference, or in other words, what we're adding each time or subtracting. So in this case, I'd have AN equals A1 is 10 plus N minus 1. The common difference each time, if I go from 10 to 12.5 to 15, is I'm adding 2.5 each time. So I put 2.5, and then I would need to simplify that. So I get AN equals 10, distribute the 2.5. 2.5 times N is 2.5N, and then 2.5 times negative 1 is negative 2.5. And then I can combine the 10 and the negative 2.5 to get AN equals 7.5 plus 2.5N. So that's your rule. And then the second part here says find the 60th term. So that means I want to replace the N with 60. So I'd have A of 60, which stands for the 60th term, equals 7.5 plus 2.5 times 60. So I would just put that in the calculator. 7.5 plus 2.5 times 60. So 157.5. So the 60th term is 157.5. The next objective 3 dealt with geometric sequences and finding a rule for geometric sequence. So here we're going to use the formula AN equals A1 times R to the N minus 1. A1 is still the first term. This time R is our common ratio, or in other words, what we're multiplying by each time. So if we look at this sequence, 40, 20, 10, 5, you may say, well, we're dividing by 2, which is true, but since our ratio, we want it to be what we're multiplying by, dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. So my rule here would be AN equals A1, which is 40, times R, which is a half, to the N minus 1. Now, to find the 20th term, you'd put in 20 for N, so we'd have A of 20 equals A1, which is 40, times a half to the 20 minus 1. Now when you put this in the calculator, I'd go ahead and do 20 minus 1 first and just take it to the 19th. So we'd have 40 parentheses 1/2 caret key to the 19th power. Now again, that's going to be a very small number, that's fine. So 0.000076 is fine. Our third objective dealt with multiplying complex numbers. So I'm just going to do part C on this one. When we multiplied complex numbers, we used the generic rectangle or the Punnett square. So we'd have 4 and 3i, and then negative 3 and 4i. So if I multiply, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. 4 times 4i is 16i. 3i times negative 3 is negative 9i. And then 3i times 4i is 12i squared. Now again, you have to remember that I squared.
Need the following people to come to the office, please. Caitlin McIntosh, Cammie Owens, Jessica Bowman, Dylan Mays, Hannah Beck, Josh Holland, Austin Barnett, Brody Baker, Alyssa Coomer, Angel Bishop, Grady Hall, Jacob Cole, Erica Lee, Brooklyn Akers, Madeline Wingler, Gracie Montgomery, Lindsay Baker, Kenneth Noble, Chase Rush, Brittany Mullins, David Taylor, Cody Mosley, Sarah Farr, Rachel Satterwhite, Christian Anderson, Brianna May,
Okay, so if I squared equals negative 1, this means 12 times negative 1, which is negative 12. So it's going to change that from a positive 12 to a negative 12. Now if we combine like terms, we got a negative 12 and a negative 12, which is negative 24. Negative 9i plus 16i is positive 7i. Okay, number 5 was dividing complex numbers. In order to divide complex numbers, we have to multiply the top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. So again, the conjugate of the denominator, we change the sign in the middle. So it'd be 2 plus 5i and 2 plus 5i on the bottom. So if I take the top, I'm going to use a generic rectangle for the top. So I've got 4 and 3i, 2 and 5i. 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 5i is 20i, 3i times 2 is 6i, 3i times 5i is 15i squared. But again, remember that I squared is negative 1, so that makes that just a negative 15. So 8 and negative 15 is negative 7. 20i and 6i, so plus 26i. Then if I do a Punnett square for the bottom, I have 2 minus 5i and 2 plus 5i. So 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 5i is 10i, 2 times negative 5i is negative 10i, negative 5i times 5i is negative 25i squared. But again, that would turn that into a positive 25. So 4 plus 25 is 29. And then negative 10 plus 10 would cancel. So we'd have negative 7 plus 26i over 29. Okay, number 6 was our solving systems with 3 unknowns. So we wanted to look at the equations and see if we could get two things to cancel out, or two equations where one letter would cancel out. So if you notice, I got a negative 8z and a positive 8 and a negative 8z and a positive 8z. So I could add the first two equations together first, which would give me 16x plus 26y equals 14. Then I could also add the top and bottom equation together, which would get me 7x plus 22y equals 38. So now I just have to use elimination. So I can multiply the top by negative 7 if I wanted to, and the bottom by 16 to get rid of the x. So if I do that, I have negative 7 times 16, which is negative 112x. Negative 7 times 26 is negative 182 y, and then negative 7 times 14 is negative 98. Then if I multiply the bottom by 16, I get 112x. 16 times 22 is 352, so plus 352y. And then 16 times 38 is 608. So if I add these together, negative 182 plus 352 is 170, so I have 170y. And negative 98 plus 608 is 510. And if I divide both sides by 17, I get y equals 30. So then I need to take that value and plug it back in to one of these equations. So I'll just take the top equation. So 16x plus 26, but I'm going to replace y with 30. So I'd have 16x plus 30 times 26 is 780 equals 14. So subtract 780 from both sides. Get 16x equals negative 766. And if you take 766 divided by 16, so negative 766 divided by 16, you get negative 47.875, which is okay, you can get a decimal. So now I've got x and y, so I need to plug those back in to find z. So I'm going to use this middle equation here. So I have 4x, which is negative 47.875. Plus 2 times 30 plus 8z equals 38. So if I take 4 times negative 47.875 plus the 2 times 30, which is 60, I get negative 131.5 plus 8z equals 38. So if I add 131.5 to both sides, I get 8z equals 169.5, and then if I divide by 8, I get z equals 21.1875. So when you write your answer, you write it as an ordered triple. So we have negative 47.875, comma 30, comma 21.1875.